extremely busy. I wasn't expecting it to be this busy in September.
Yeah.
Is summer worse than this? Is it worse than summer?
Summers are worse.
Even worse than this one. I can never get this right. Okay, done. Okay. We are ready to roll. Today is Yellowstone and Grand Teton Day, and plan is to ride. Wallet, cell phone, keys are here or here. So plan is to ride firstly to Yellowstone and then go to see the Old Faithful, of course, and Grand Prismatic, that's what it's called, and then down to Grand Teton National Park, use the Grand Teton Scenic Byway, and find my way down to Jackson. So that's just the plan. So welcome back to the channel, and today is finally the day when I make it to Yellowstone National Park. Yes, today I'm leaving Cody and I'm headed straight for Yellowstone National Park through the eastern entrance, which is the Cody end of Yellowstone. So just leaving my hotel, which was the Cody Cowboy Village, and it's located on the outskirts of town. Had a nice little room, spent the night there, a good night's sleep, and here I'm getting on the main road which heads straight into Yellowstone National Park. So starting off the day, the skies were partly cloudy, and it didn't seem like it was going to rain, but then when I checked the forecast, there was rain ahead of me. So this is Cody Stampede Park, where every summer they host the rodeo, which is a major event in this part of the world. Very, very common in Wyoming, Montana, even in Alberta. When you head out of Cody towards Yellowstone, you come across this place called Colter's Hell, and I was trying to read the sign and see what it said. There was a lot of information and detail about the area, but to summarize, Colter's Hell is a thermal area in Wyoming that includes hot springs and fumaroles. It's significant because it was the first area in Wyoming to have been explored by a European American, John Colter, who was an explorer and fur trapper who kind of explored the area between 1807 and 1808. The area, of course, is marked by a lot of extinct thermal features, and it's located at the mouth of the Shoshone River Canyon in Wyoming. And the area that it covers is about 1 square mile. So back to the weather. The weather got pretty nasty up ahead in Yellowstone. Got a lot of rain, and it was quite cold because Yellowstone is at a higher elevation, but none of that was going to dampen my spirits. I was ready to go and explore Yellowstone National Park. So as you leave Cody, you enter this kind of like narrow canyon, and so the kind of like you reach a point where you go through this tunnel where it's going right through the mountain. And of course, when you emerge from the end of this kind of like series of tunnels, you see this massive kind of dammed reservoir, and of course that probably is the water that feeds the city of Cody, and I'm assuming there's some power generation happening over there as well. So one thing I noticed on this particular stretch of highway between Cody and Yellowstone National Park, there are several speed limit signs, but they are kind of like adaptive, or not adaptive, but I guess adjustable, because you will notice that they are electronic. So at any given time of day, and depending on the weather conditions and traffic conditions, they could reduce or increase the speed limit. So this stretch of water to my left, of course, continues for quite a while until, of course, you get deeper into the mountains, where it kind of like turns into kind of a stream or a river. And of course, it's eventually will lead me to Yellowstone National Park as I climb higher and higher. So time for some quick maintenance. This is something I would have to do very frequently, like probably every 30-40 minutes. I would have to stop and wipe down the lens because there was a lot of bugs and spray from the rain and the cars ahead of me, but it's just part of the game. So finally, now getting deeper into the mountains. I love these rock formations to the right, and I love the color. This kind of like nice kind of like sandy tones and beautiful river and a forested mountainside to my left, of course. And as you go more towards Yellowstone, you keep climbing, and it's quite a climb. It's like almost you're climbing from the foothills over the hill onto a plateau. And this is of course where the rain starts to kind of like hit me. You can see it on the lens of the camera, and it was very blustery, I remember. So it was getting pretty nasty. So I don't know how much longer I could have continued without having to stop and get my rain suit out. So the rain was getting a bit too much and it wasn't stopping, so I just decided to make a quick stop and get into my rain suit. Anyway, back on the road, and now I'm wearing my rain suit, so I'm well protected from the elements, the rain, as well as the wind, so you don't feel as cold. This is a Revit rain suit, and I'm so glad that I had it with me on this trip. Yep, so the sw-motech tank bag that I have, it's an amazing tank bag, but it's not waterproof. So of course it comes with a waterproof cover. So, had to protect it as well. So we are at Yellowstone Gate. So it's crazy traffic, lots of people everywhere. So private vehicles is 35, motorcycle is 30. Finally arrived at Yellowstone National Park, so at least the eastern gate of Yellowstone National Park. It was super busy, a lot of cars and traffic as well. But because it's a larger park than, let's say, Glacier National Park, you don't feel it that much and you move fairly quickly through the park. Hello. Just turn this off, it's noisy.
Welcome to Yellowstone.
Thank you. How much? $30? Is it?
30 for a motorcycle and it's one an annual pass.
No. It's extremely busy. I wasn't expecting it to be this busy in September.
Yeah.
Is summer worse than this? Is it worse than summer?
Summers are worse.
Even worse than this one. Oh. Thanks a lot.
This is your pass. Okay?
Yeah, and what's this is a magazine or? Oh,
It's the guide. I'll tell
Guide.
you when it's open.
thanks a
Have
lot.
good day. Be
You
safe.
too, thanks. So Yellowstone National Park is one of the top 5 national parks in the United States. I think there are about 60 odd national parks in the United States, and Yellowstone is probably in the top 5. I think about 4 odd million people visit this national park every year, so it's one of the busiest national parks in the United States. Another reason why the Yellowstone National Park is very popular is because of its location, the features that it offers, which is varied, and of course you've got the Grand Teton National Park, which is right next to it. So once you go past the eastern entrance of Yellowstone National Park, the road continues to climb higher and higher. And of course, the landscape continues to change. You get a lot more forests around you, and of course, the mountains are much bigger and much higher. So once you enter into the plateau, you start descending, and that's when you see your first view of Yellowstone Lake, which is this beautiful blue, massive lake, which you can see from a lot of different points in Yellowstone. This lake is quite high. I think it's at about 7,000 feet. So I guess where I'm standing right now is probably like almost 8,000 feet, which is very impressive. The weather again was getting a little messy, and but still it was quite a beautiful sight. So in Yellowstone, you have a yellow bus or a yellow buggy versus Glacier National Park, where they have the red buses and the red buggies to kind of like carry tourists and show them different parts of the parks. Just decided to bother these folks to take a picture of me in front of the lake. Yeah, I was very picky and making sure that they take the picture the way I wanted to. So that's the picture. I mean, just look at the views. Just amazing beauty all around. Little overcast conditions, of course, which is not ideal, but still they add their own kind of like touch to the overall experience. So finally arrived at Fishing Bridge. Fishing Bridge is basically the first stop when you enter Yellowstone from the eastern entrance. It has a general store, a kind of a visitor center, and a restaurant, I guess, and beautiful views of Yellowstone Lake. So the rain continued, of course, and it was getting colder as well. The temperature in centigrade was about 10 degrees, 10, 11 degrees. So it was getting a little nippier, and I just wanted to grab something to drink, like a coffee. So I decided to kind of go inside.
So just left the Yellowstone Lake kind of like rest area, and now this is really shaking today. I don't know why. And now I'm headed towards West Yellowstone. So
I'm back on the road, and now I'm headed west or northwest towards the Geysers, the Geyser Basin in Yellowstone National Park. Some people call it Geyser, some people call it Geyser, depends where you're from. The Americans call it Geyser, the British call it Geyser. So I'm just going to call it Geyser because I'm more comfortable using the word Geyser. So I wanted to visit Old Faithful, but of course I didn't have the time, and Grand Prismatic was a priority for me because I've always been in awe of that amazing and beautiful location. So I decided to make a dash for it and head straight to Grand Prismatic.
it's been pretty spotty with the rain and kind of like all over the place. Now it's blue skies. It was raining like a little while ago. Still you can see my helmet is wet, but it's part of the game, I guess. Hopefully I don't get too much spray on the lens. If it's raining, it's different, but there's cars ahead of me, and then like they just create more spray on the lens, so that's a problem. Oh, there should have been an overtake zone. Lake area, 7,000 feet. Wow, it's a really high point.
I mean, just look at that lake. It's beautiful. You have to go around it basically if you want to go anywhere, and you get to see these splendid views of this amazing blue lake, and it's quite the scene. quick stopover to take a few pictures and admire the amazing beauty of Yellowstone National Park. Some interesting facts about Yellowstone National Park. Yellowstone National Park is the first and oldest national park in the United States. It was designated a national park in 1872 by President of the United States Ulysses S. Grant. So the park covers about 8,991 square kilometers of area, and 96% of it is in Wyoming, 3% is in Montana, and 1% is in Idaho. The average temperature in the month of January is minus 13 degrees, while the average temperature in the month of July is 27 degrees centigrade. Yellowstone Lake is about 7,733 feet above sea level, and in case you're curious, the maximum depth is about 430 feet or 131 meters. Another really interesting fact is that the park sits on top of an active volcano, and the park has over 10,000 thermal features. It has more than 500 active geysers and 290 waterfalls, with the highest waterfall being 308 feet tall. The area is rich in flora and fauna as well as many species of wildlife. 26 Native American tribes associate themselves with the Yellowstone National Park, and the area is the site of over 1,800 known archaeological sites. Yellowstone National Park has 5 entrances, 750 kilometers of road, of which 499 are paved, and it's got about 1,000 miles of backcountry trekking trails, as well as 92 trailheads and 301 backcountry campsites. Yellowstone is truly unique and amazing. So finally arrived in Geyser Basin, and so at Old Faithful there is this big kind of like visitor center and a place where you can kind of like grab some snacks. There's a restaurant over there as well. So I decided to kind of like make a quick stopover. I did not kind of like go to see the Old Faithful because I didn't have time. So quick stopover, filled up some gas, and then from there I kind of like moved up towards Grand Prismatic Geyser. I mean, just look at this place. This is like a parking lot, and in the parking lot you have like a mud thermal spring. I mean, that's just what Yellowstone is. It's just crazy, the sheer number of thermal features you have everywhere in the park. It's just amazing. I wouldn't want to be anywhere near that water. So on we go towards Grand Prismatic, leaving Old Faithful behind. The road is fairly straightforward and uneventful. So more rain, unfortunately, on the way. Yeah, you know, it's part of the game, but very frustrating and cold. Trust me, it was getting colder and colder. Yeah. So this is the area near Grand Prismatic Spring, and if you look everywhere all around you, you see these, it's like surreal. You know, you see all the steam coming out of the water in the distance in every little spot, and it's like a very unique place. I've never seen a place like this in my life. There's like kind of like water coming out of the hot springs, and it's going straight into the river, which creates this massive plumes of steam all around you. It was windy, overcast, and it seemed like I was in kind of in a dream kind of a place. Really, really unique. If only there weren't so many cars and people, I would have thought I'm really dreaming. I mean, just look at that place. Just look at the steam coming out of the water, and really just very unique. that stunning. Look at the color on those rocks. I guess it's kind of like stained by the sulfur coming out of the water, the sulfur spring, because that's what I'm assuming it is. And kudos to the Yellowstone National Park for creating these walkways everywhere and keeping people on track, and yet allowing them to enjoy these beautiful sights. Just look at that blue water, like it's just unbelievably clear water, but the colors, like whatever is coloring the water, the minerals, etc., it's just so unique. And of course, you're getting closer to the Grand Prismatic Spring, and the colors in that thing, man, oh man, just unbelievable. I mean, seriously, just look at the colors. Like, look at the contrast, the red and then the turquoise, and within that you've got some tinges of yellow, and then the steam makes it look like unbelievably surreal. Like, I mean, the whole place is like it's like a painting on the ground, like it's God's painting, you know. It's just like unbelievably beautiful. Back on the road, but man, oh man, what an experience it was, the Grand Prismatic Springs. Like, it's something everybody must visit once in their life. So now I'm headed south towards Grand Teton and Jackson. So this is where you get your first glimpse of the Grand Teton National Park. And it's like these mountains which just kind of come out of the water, and as you grow closer to them, it's just an awe-inspiring sight. So the Grand Teton National Park is also a highly visited national park in the United States. It's just because of the impressive views you get of this location. There's a lot of hiking and trekking that you can do in the area, but the main feature for me was the high mountains that kind of go right into the water. The highest mountain over here is the Grand Teton Peak, which is about 4,200 meters, and it feels like it just comes out of the water. So it's this sheer prominence that it has that makes it very, very impressive. So this is Jackson Lake, where of course the Grand Teton Range is located, and the Jackson Lake kind of like flows from north to south, and the mountains kind of like rise up from the lake. That's the kind of like feeling you get when you are at Grand Teton. I mean, just look at those mountains. I mean, the images and the video doesn't do it justice. It's only when you're there that you get a feeling of how big these mountains are. I mean, just look at those peaks. They actually remind me of the Passu peaks in Pakistan, and those are like also well-known mountains that you can see from the highway, and I get the same feeling when I look at this, and it looks very similar to those pictures I've seen of the Passu peaks. entering Jenny Lake area. There's a camping ground over here, and it's a great place to camp and have amazingly beautiful views of the Grand Teton range. And you can see all the mountains from here very clearly, including Grand Teton itself, which is the highest peak at 4,200 meters. So a quick stopover at Jenny Lake to take some pictures of the Grand Teton range with the water in the foreground, and very busy, lots of people despite the rainy weather. So the Grand Teton National Park is located in Wyoming, and the size of the park is about 485 square miles or 310,000 acres. It receives about 3.88 million recreational visitors every year. And of course, the highest elevation or the highest point is the Grand Teton Mountain, which is 4,200 meters high. It receives just over 21 inches of precipitation every year, and it became a national park in 1929. So the Grand Teton National Park was created, or the Grand Teton Mountains were created by a seismic kind of a disaster. And after 13 million years of earthquakes, the Grand Teton Range was formed. And basically what happened was that during each major quake, Jackson Hole dropped downward and the Teton Range rose upward. And that's what created the difference between the valley and the mountains. Look at this place. Amazing, eh? Raining. Beautiful. Doesn't get better than this. Check this place out. This is Grand Teton National Park. It's raining now. Really cool place. Very scenic. The weather unfortunately continued to kind of be my enemy, but what a day I had. I mean, it was one hell of a day, packing 2 national parks and riding through them in the space of a few hours. I guess I did not do it justice, but for me this was like the best day of my Yellowstone 2024 trip. I would put this very, very close to some of the most amazing places I've seen in my life. Having said that, I also enjoyed the Beartooth Pass immensely, and I think as far as the riding experience goes, that was the highlight of this trip. So if you wanna take my takeaway from this entire trip, the best place that I kind of rode my bike on and I enjoyed the most was the day I did the Beartooth Pass. So make sure you go back and watch that episode, because some of the views in that video are absolutely mind-blowing. So please go out, check that out. So finally left the amazingly beautiful Grand Teton range behind me, entering the outskirts of Jackson, Wyoming. This area is called the Elk Refuge, and I was staying at the Elk Refuge Inn with amazing views, which is exactly this view when I stopped over for my night stay. If you like this video, please hit like and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the reminder button or the bell button so that you get notified of future videos when they drop. Thanks a lot for watching.